Alright, this is 045 notes, graphing quadratic equations. Objectives, you'll be able to graph quadratic equations. But before we graph, we actually got to do some work beforehand. Some things you guys need to know is that anytime you have an x squared in an equation, you have a quadratic equation. So anytime you have an x squared, you have a quadratic equation. Say something like this, you have y equals 3x squared plus 4x minus 5. The sign and the number in front of the x squared is labeled an a. So there's three different terms here. You have the 3x squared plus 4x minus 5. The first term, or the term that involves the x squared, that is, to be more specific, that positive 3 is considered the a value. And the positive 4, that's the b value in our equation. So the sign and the number in front of the x is considered your b value in our equation. And the constant at the end here, this negative 5, that's considered our c value. That's our c. So that's something you need to know. Let's first practice writing and identifying the a, b, and c with these four equations here. So with problem number 1, we have 2x squared plus 3x minus 1. Well, the a is always the sign and the number in front of the x squared, so that's my a. My b is the sign and number in front of the x value to the power of 1. And the c is the constant, negative 1. One more time, the sign, the number in front of the x squared value is our a value. The sign, the number in front of the x value is our b. And then the constant is our c. Looking at problem number 3, sometimes things aren't going to be in standard form. Sometimes they're going to be a little bit out of order. The sign and number in front of the x squared we know is our a. However, the sign and number, this one in this case, there is no x right there. That's just a constant, that positive 3. So that's actually my c value. And the negative 9x, well, the negative 9 is actually my b value. So it can be a little bit presented to you out of order. That's okay, it's not a problem. You just have to identify it. This positive 6, well, that's a constant, so that's going to get my c. The positive 2x squared, well, that positive 2 is my a. And my b is the negative 4, because it has an x there. It's x to the power of 1, so the negative 4 is my b value. Now this a, b, and c values, it all comes to be a purpose. I'm going to give you a formula where you're just going to take those values, add, subtract, divide, or multiply, give you that output to find out what we need to do. In a little bit, you'll see exactly more of the purpose of a, b, and c. Remember, our goal here is the graph quadratic equations. Quadratic equations, one graph tends to look like the letter U. It could be going up here and going up here, where it kind of bottoms out, down around there. Or it could be shooting down in both directions and it kind of tops out up there. That's what tends to be the shapes of quadratic equations. That's what they kind of look like. They could get a little bit wider, they could be a little skinnier, but the general shape, there's a skinnier quadratic equation. You also have one that's a little bit wider, where it involves that curve. Those are quadratic equations. Now, the bottom of the U is called the vertex. So the bottom, the shape where it bottoms out, where it stops going down and it starts going up, that change from going down to up, right there is our vertex. So when it changes from going negative to positive, and when it changes from positive to negative, that's also our vertex, where it tops out. So that's what the meaning when they're asking you for the vertex, it's where that change in signs are. Now the top of the N is called the vertex, so I just referred to that shape kind of like an N. Alright, so we need to know the vertex because this will tell us the location of where our quadratic equation will be on our graph. That vertex is that changing point like we were talking about. So if we first identify where it changes, like find out where the center of our graph is, we could plot the rest of the graph. So that's why we want to find this vertex first. So we can find the vertex by using the formula x equals negative b divided by 2a. So this is where that a and b stuff start to come into play. And knowing it, the purpose for knowing a and b, is we have our formula. And once we get the value of x, we can find the y value when we type it into the graphing calculator. So let's actually do an example of what I'm talking about here. So let's say we have to graph this function f of x is equal to 1x squared plus 8x plus 20. We know our a is positive 1, our b is positive 8, and our c is positive 20. To find out the x value in our vertex, we just do minus b divided by 2a. Well, our minus b, so we got minus a positive 8 divided by 2 times my a value, which is 1. When I simplify this, a negative and a positive make a negative, so that's a negative 8. 2 times 1 is 2. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. So my x value of my vertex is at negative 4. Let's just practice that before we start finding the y value. Let's do another one where we just practice finding the x. So we got f of x equals 3x squared plus 12x plus 2. Our a is our positive 3, our b is our positive 12, and our c is our positive 2. To find our x value, or to find the vertex, we do minus our b value, which is positive 12, divided by 2 times the a value. And the a value in this case is the 3. Negative and positive 12, that really creates a negative 12. 2 times 3 is 6. Negative 12 divided by 6 gets us negative 2. Now, that is my x value in the coordinate, or in our vertex. Now to find the y value in our vertex, to find that second part, the y value, what we gotta do, we gotta put that x value everywhere we see x in our equation. So we'll take out our graphing calculator and we'll type it right in. So we do 3 parentheses, negative 2, close parentheses, squared, plus 12 times negative 2, plus 2. And our result, after we plug it in, we're going to get equals negative 10. So my vertex is negative 2, negative 10. Let's practice that again with the from top to bottom here. So we identify our A, our B, and our C, which we practiced before. Now we just got to substitute into our equation. Minus B, which is positive 60, divided by 2 times my A value, which is 5. Minus plus 60, well, the plus and minus really just means minus 60. Divided by 2 times 5 gets us 10. Negative 60 divided by 10 is negative 6. So my x value and my vertex is negative 6. To find out that y value in the vertex, we're going to put that negative 6 in for x in our equation here. So let's put that into the calculator. 5 parentheses, negative 6, close parentheses, squared, plus 60 times negative 6, close parentheses, minus 28. We're going to get negative 208. So my y value is negative 208. And my vertex will be negative 6, comma, negative 208. That will be my entire vertex. We'll just continue practicing here. This one's a little bit different because there is no c value. Not a big deal. We don't always need c. We need minus b, which is minus a positive 10, divided by 2 times my a value, which is positive 2. Plus minus is really a minus, so we have negative 10 over 4. And negative 10 over 4, that's going to simplify down to negative 5 over 2. Now it's okay to have fractions or decimals. So we have negative 5 halves, or negative 2.5 as my x value. So that means just the center of the box in between negative 2 and negative 3. We're going to then plug in negative 2.5 in for the x. I'm going to put that right into the calculator. Make the calculator do the work. So 2 times negative 2.5, close parentheses, squared, plus 10 parentheses, negative 2.5, close parentheses, and we're going to get negative 12.5. So my y value is negative 12.5. One more time, a and b with no value of c, not the end of the world, minus a positive 24 over 2 times my 4. We're going to get negative 24 over 8, and negative 24 over 8 gets us negative 3. So my x value is negative 3. And my y value, we're going to find out because we're going to put negative 3 in for x in both locations. So do we do 4 parentheses, negative 3 close parentheses squared, plus 24 open parentheses, negative 3 close parentheses, and we're going to get negative 36. So our y value is negative 36. So the vertex is negative 3, negative 36. Now let's see if you could do this one on your own. So first try it on your own before I do it. Hit the pause button for yourself, because I'm going to get going right now. Alright, so we have a minus 30. So a minus positive 30 over 2 times 6. Negative 30 over 12. That's going to simplify down quite a bit. Negative 30 divided by 12 gets us negative 2.5. That's my x value that I'm going to put in for x in both of those locations. So 6 parentheses, negative 2.5, close parentheses, plus 30, open parentheses, negative 2.5, close parentheses, squared, minus 5. So it's okay if the x squared doesn't come first. It's not a big deal when working here, so we don't always have to write it in standard form. So my vertex is negative 2.5, comma, 167.5. Why don't you try this one on your own? See if you can identify A, B, and C. So I'm going to put it all together. And then find the vertex. So hit the pause button. Alright, here we go. So we got minus 2 over 2 times 12, which is 24. Because I did 2 times the A value. Whoop, nope, I lied. That's why it's good not to skip around. Let's first identify A, B, and C. My A value is this positive 2x squared, so just the positive 2 is my A. My B is the positive 12, and my C is negative 7. So it'll be minus 12 over 2 times my a value. So 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 12 over 4 gets us negative 3. So be careful. Make sure you identify your a, b, and c first so you don't get tripped up. And I just shown you what happens when you get tripped up. You get a wrong answer. So then we put in that negative 3 in for x in both of those locations. We do 12 parentheses negative 3 close parentheses plus 2 open parentheses negative 3 close parentheses squared minus 7. And we're going to get negative 25. So our vertex is negative 3, negative 25. Hopefully you got the same answer. See if you could do that one on your own first, and then we're going to move on to graphing. Alright, let's plug them in. So negative b, so negative, well, that's my a. Sorry. So that one wants you to, let's make sure I'm not repeating the same stuff here. Let's try that one. So my a, my b, my c. We got negative b, so negative 16 over 2 times 2, which gets us 4. Negative 16 over 4 gets us negative 4. We then plug it into the calculator. We do 2 parentheses 4 close parentheses squared plus 16 parentheses close parentheses with the 4 and the side, and then minus 17. So that's what we're typing into the calculator. I'm going to get 79 equals 79. So my y value is 79, and the x value is negative 4. So my vertex is negative 479. All right, so now we're going to graph. I'm going to do it on a separate video here.